New social studies standards for Minnesota's K-12 schools. K-12 are now under review and facing criticism. The updated benchmarks, they're calling them, include teaching first graders about systemic racism and in high school, calling out the evils of whiteness, capitalism, and Christianity. Joining me now with her reaction, former professor Dr. Carol Swain. Dr. Swain, thank you so much for being here. It was wonderful to see you just a couple of days ago working on a Fox Nation project. We spoke to you at length, reminded me how wise you are on these issues. We want to get your take on this as well. Here's part of the benchmarks from first grade. We mentioned first grade. I'm going to read one from first grade and one from ninth grade. It says, learn to recognize unfairness, stereotypes, and bias on the individual level and injustice at the institutional or systemic level. So that's first grade. But by ninth grade, we're bashing, get this, describe the tactics used by the U.S. government to claim indigenous and Mexican land, including but not limited to the analysis of the ideology of manifest destiny and its relationship to whiteness, Christianity, and capitalism. So, Dr. Swain, they're talking about Christianity now in schools just to bash it.
Well, true. And I think that every American should be concerned because what happens in Minnesota and California and Illinois will find its way, to your state. Yes. And it is introducing young children to complex ideas before they can develop critical thinking skills. And so clearly they're being indoctrinated, at the K-12 level. And it is a progressive agenda that advances, a secular humanist ideology. It teaches them, in many cases, about other religions, to practice other religions that go against Christianity. And I don't think we should stand by idly and allow that to happen.
That's amazing.
And we know with federalism, states can do what they want, but what's happening now is a national move.
Such a great point. Young people introduced to theories too complex for them to develop. They don't have critical thinking yet. That's the definition of indoctrination. Now, the state says this is not the curriculum yet. There'll be a review. But if this is where they're starting, certainly it's an indication of exactly where they want to go. But I got to get your take on another story as well out of Oakland. Oakland is proposing sending $500 a month to low-income residents, but only if you're black, not if you're white, so based purely on race. Here's part of the announcement that came from the CEO of it. Listen.
The Oakland Resilient Families is designed to tackle the existing racial income gap. We know that the Oakland Equity Index that families of color experience the greatest income disparities in the city. This pilot is built on a legacy. Guaranteed income has been a goal of the Black Panther platform since its founding.
So, Carol, we're so woke that now we're going back to deciding based on your race who gets money?
I hate to call people names, but I want to say that there are idiots, running these programs in these cities, because it's clear to me and anyone that has looked at the law that this would be a violation of the civil rights laws that we have on the books, as well as the Equal Protection Clause. And so they can put these programs in place. They will survive until there is a lawsuit that goes before a judge that follows the law.
Scariest part is the mindset there that puts it there in the first place. What is the mindset, real quick, that justifies this sort of reverse racism?
I would just say that the colleges and universities have turned out people who can't think, and it is reverse racism. Back in the 80s, we laughed when white people said they were being discriminated against. Now we see the discrimination, and I think every American has to fight against it.
And you wrote the book on it. Dr. Carol Swain, thank you so much for your time this morning. We appreciate it.